not know it, but there is a home in Camden that has ties to Dr. King, and local activists want New Jersey to recognize it as a historic site. Here's Bill Anderson.
This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
This time of year, it's very popular to show your support for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but just across the bridge in Camden, there's a fight that's been going on for years to make sure the dream continues.
It was at this location right here. As a matter of fact, on those steps is where Dr. King was warned, don't you go down to Mary's Cafe. You know, it was in this house behind us that when Dr. King was going to school after he came out of Morehouse, and he and his good friend Wayne McCall, they both started going to Crozier Seminary in Chester, PA. And on the weekends, this is where they would come. And on summers, they would come here.
It's a barely standing, relatively unknown Camden house, but for years they've been fighting to save it.
Standing right here, Congressman John Lewis made the proclamation that this house must be saved for future generations yet unborn. For me, it's about giving some inspiration to the people in Camden, where there's very little inspiration, especially in the area that we're in.
So how do we make sure the dream continues for Patrick Duff, Pastor Amir Khan, and others? One small way is to show the next generation that we still believe in it and respect the dream.
One day I was here, and a 10-year-old kid came walking over to me, and I was just taking a look and making sure everything was okay. And he said, "Mister, what are you doing at that house?" And I said, "Well, you know, Martin Luther King used to live there." And he looked at me, he said, "You know, mister, that should be a museum."
And so that's the plan. They already raised the money to purchase the house, and now they're hoping for additional funding to rehab it.
This is going to be an MLK house where people can come, the children from Camden and all around, and adults. They're going to be able to walk into this house. They're going to be able to see where Dr. King sat, where he prepared his sermons, where he planned his first civil rights march, right here in this house.
You can join in the rehab efforts. Why? Because all too often we celebrate Dr. King for a day, but then have 364 days with very little to keep the dream alive.
It's really about inspiring these kids that have to live in this condition without as many inspirations as they had in Cherry Hill, Haddonfield, or other areas that they put resources towards this type of thing.